Boom. I mean, this recruiting class, it seems like it's getting one of those, getting the juice flowing with you, Coach. I mean, overall, what's the reaction that was going on all day back there in the football offices?
Well, look, I can't say enough about our staff and the great job that they did. And you look at this 2-week push, these last 2 weeks was a major push for us, and we had to really go in some homes and just sell this university. But the great thing about it, when you work at a great place like this, it's not much to sell because you think, all right, we got great academics, have a great athletic program with facilities, with resources, with the backing. So now it's all about just convincing that young man. And then once we got him to campus, you look at the great job our players did, and they are our best salesmen because they can really, the thing what happens when a recruit comes, he's going to say, hey, how's Coach Strong, or how's Coach BJ, or how's Coach Rump, how's Coach Bedford? So just talk about their personalities, just really talk about who they are. And then I think about on Saturdays the time that our administrators and also that our professors, they came over and just were able to talk about academics and just give up their Saturdays just to be a part of it. And it was just a total team effort, just not only from the coaching staff, but also just administrators, just the whole city involved. And then I think when our players had a chance to go out, some of the fraternities was talking about the good times that they had. So they joined in the fun.
Well, there's a lot going on in Austin. Like you said, it basically sells itself. Overall, though, you reached out beyond the borders of the state of Texas. You know the way it goes. There's a lot of pride in this state. People want to see sometimes everybody from the state of Texas. But the point Ricky Williams said is, you know what? If that was the philosophy, they wouldn't have a Ricky Williams playing here for the University of Texas. So what is the philosophy and the approach when you go national, like with this class?
Well, the state of Texas is always our home ground, and it will always be. And you look at it, I think we had 19 that we signed. But anytime you reach outside the state, it's always about relationships. And it has to be like when you talk about the state of Florida, a lot of guys, not only myself, but a number of coaches on the staff has coached in that state and have recruited that state. Vaughn grew up in Tallahassee. BJ grew up in Apopka. So you have guys that have grown, just homegrown from that state. And then when we go into Miami, it was my recruiting area. When I was an assistant coach at the University of Florida, that was my recruiting area. So I knew a lot of those coaches and just being able to build that relationship. And then you look at Kyle Loxley, his dad and I coached together at the University of Florida, so we had that relationship with Kai. And then Johnny's son, coming from California, Johnny sent his son here to us.
Yeah.
So, had to say thank you to Johnny for entrusting his son to us. And then, I look at Garrett coming from Louisiana, and then Hodges coming from Mississippi, where Coach Wickline's wife is from Aberdeen.
Wow.
And Hodges is from Aberdeen. So we were able, when we went in to see him, his dad worked at the fire station, had some really good stories to tell and to talk about. But it's just the relationships that were just built up. And that's anytime you reach outside the state. Not that we want to do that like we're saying, hey, this is where we're going to just make our living. The state of Texas is where we're going to make our living. And you got to have the connections with the high school coaches, which we did. They did a great job for us, too. And that's why we were able to land this class.
And it makes sense when you have those relationships in place. That's why you have them there. Go ahead and use them. You look at all the coaches recently that have won national titles, and you look at that first full recruiting class, and that's the foundation for these programs that go on to do great things. Look at what you did, first full class at Louisville. It's going to end up being 3 first-round picks, and that doesn't include a guy that also won the Thorpe Award a year ago. Why is that first full recruiting class so important to a foundation?
Well, you look at it, and it's all about your needs, and that's what you have to build. And when you get that first class in, they feel like that they're a part of you. Like this is Coach Strong's class. He's building it, but it's not so much of that. You already have your team, so they're able to come in and be a part of something special. And they're going to bring in a dimension. This class is going to come into something that we're already building, where they've already heard us over and over talk about, hey, team chemistry. They've heard us talk about accountability. They heard us talk about responsibility. Now with this class coming in, they're going to add to what we don't already have. And it is. And you look at it, you have a quarterback coming in. You have some offensive line. Linebacker was a need that we need to fulfill. They're coming in. Then you're looking at the secondary. But it's all those groups that are coming in now, and all those players, and they're going to add to what we already have.
So let's focus on the offense. You mentioned the Loxley family. What's impressive to me here is Mike is known as one of the best recruiters in the game. Somehow you out-recruit him for his own son? And you got Kai Loxley now coming to the University of Texas. How does that work out, Coach?
No, it was more, I think that what Locks didn't want to do is coach his own son.
Yeah.
And so, and you think about it, he was already committed to Florida State. And so when we still battling with Florida State, and I told him, I said, listen here, I watch you grow up. So I'm not going to allow you to go to Florida State. So I'm not going to back off of you all. We're going to still recruit you. But, the Loxley family just knows how he's going to be treated, and he knows who we are. And not only myself, but Coach Wickline was on that coaching staff with us also. So when we went up to make the visit on last Friday, it was just coming in and there seeing somebody that you already knew. So it wasn't that you had to go in and just make this big sale and this big spill. They knew who we were because we'd already coached together before.
And we've talked, there's going to be tweaks coming to the offense. With that said, what was the recruiting pitch? What did you tell Kai as far as what this new look Texas offense will look like next season?
Well, if you look at this state and the coaches in the state, they do a great job. And it's all the spread. They open it up. And we're going to have to open it up some and just make sure that, you look at a guy like Kai, you look at Gerard Hurd, and you look at Swoops. Those are guys that can beat you with their feet as well as their arms. So it's just all about – but – even though you may have that dimension with the quarterbacks, you still have to get you some skill. Mm-hmm. And right now, and that's what we have to do is make sure that we surround them with some skill players where you can throw the ball outside and see if somebody can beat someone one-on-one. You can throw the bubble and see if a guy can catch it and, make a guy make him miss and take it a few more yards. But it's all about not only that quarterback position, but the skill around him.
And you had big movement when it comes to the running back and receiver spot, those skill spots in the last 48 hours to really put this class together. Let's start off with the guys that are projected to come in as receivers. How do you see them coming in and doing what you said, being those playmakers that can support a quarterback?
Well, you look at Bird and you look at Johnson. They're long and they're athletic, and that's what guys that can win outside. And once they grow into their bodies, and once we get them in here and get them through with our weight room and get them conditioned right, those are guys that can win outside. And then you look at a guy like Newsome, a guy who's not. He's not very big, but he's a guy that can make you miss in space because he can be a great returner for you. But not only that, he's a guy that you can hand him a hand sweep to, and he can, get the ball to the outside and has enough speed to beat people on the edge. And then you look at a guy like DeAndre McNeil. He's the one that can play inside, he can play outside, just a big body receiver that can body you up, but is an unbelievable athlete.
And I know it's a lofty comparison, but when you talk about Newsome, everything you said, I start to think Percy Harvin-esque. I mean, can you make that comparison at least with the direction or the type of versatility he has?
Well, you like to make that comparison, and then you like to head it in that direction. I just hope he is as good as Percy. Now, Percy's an outstanding player. I don't want to put that pressure on Newsome right now.
Exactly. That's a good point. That's a good point.
But, he's a guy that has enough ability where he can get some things done.
Very good bloodlines in this class, especially when you look at the running backs. And you got the likes of Chris Warren coming in, a Kirk Johnson. You mentioned Johnny Johnson and Chris Warren's father, a great running back in the NFL as well. What can those guys do with this class?
We had a chance just to watch Chris all season long, and you look at him just game by game. You'll see 200 yards, and then you'll see a 300-yard game, and then you watch him, and he's so just big and physical and just runs over guys. But then he has enough speed where he can outrun people, and he's that big old back that has a presence to him, and he still haven't stopped growing yet. So there's no telling just how big. And you're right, he has great bloodlines. So it's going to be amazing to watch him once we get him into the program. And you're right, and then with Kirk coming in. Look at his father's bloodlines with him playing here at the University of Texas. And then don't forget about Houston also.
Yes.
You think about him. Tristan got some speed. He's a back that he's not overpowering, but he's quick enough where he can make a guy miss. So, you're three outstanding backs in this group.
Well, you talk about the receivers. There's also a guy from the state of Florida, Devonair Clarington, that is projected, at least to this point, the high school rankings to play tight end. He played a little defensive end. So how do you figure that out with Clarington?
Well, our need right now is a tight end, so we're going to start him off at tight end, and that's where we're really going to place him. And there's a guy that has played defensive end, has played tight end. So when you get a guy who's multidimensional and he can play two positions, then you're going to look at it. He's a really good athlete because now he can go to the defensive side. If you need to put his hand down, go rush the passer, he can do that. But then he's also a guy who can get in open space, catch the ball, make a guy miss. But he's a big athletic guy, and then he can strike you at the point of attack where he can knock guys off the ball.
Then you look at this O-line class, and it looks like Joe Wickline was just licking his chops to get these guys not only signed, but majority of them are on campus right now. How important is that, the fact that you have a large offensive line class with good prospects, and the fact that a lot of them are here right now just getting better already?
You know, we haven't had a chance to really see them because we've been out recruiting. And this morning we had our first workout at 5:30. And then, you look at the guys that are in that class with Hodges and Connor Williams and Nicholson. But you look at those guys and you sit there thinking, Garrett, you said, man, here's a group of guys that are moving very well right now, haven't been here very long, still trying to find their way around, but they did a great job of working. And it's great that you have them here now. They have a chance to go through winter conditioning, go through spring ball, and they can help just build. Because you think about us last year at that position, we had no depth. So now you have some guys who can figure in and get them in the mix, and you get them in early.
Did you ever have a head of hair like Patrick Vai?
Yeah, I like that. You know, I told Pat at one time I had the fro going. I probably could grow it back, but I better not try it right now because I done shaved too much. So
I'd like to see that. Bring it back, Coach.
Bring it back. I better go old school and bring it back, huh?
You're an old school guy. You're using the old soul approach. Why not the old school hairdo?
I may do it when Stevie Wonder coming to town. I may go over to old school with Stevie. Yeah.
We know you're a big fan. There's so much to talk about. We're talking music, we're talking hairstyles, but we're here for one real reason. Talking about this 2015 top 10 nationally ranked Texas recruiting class. Did we forget about the defense? Of course not. It's Charlie Strong we're talking to. It's coming up next. This is what Coach Strong had to say back on December 27th on the signing of Malik Jefferson. Coach, really big for our program right now. I told him when I was at the University of Florida, we signed Tim Tebow. I said this signing is just as big as that one is because now all of a sudden you get someone who gives us momentum. There's a lot of players still sitting out there waiting to go make a decision. And Coach, when we talk about Malik Jefferson, what kind of impact did he have with all this latent movement and all these pickups on signing day and the 72 hours leading up to signing day itself? How much was that him?
You know what happens is there's always a marquee player out there. Mm-hmm. And this is a player that kind of gets you jump started. And I made that comparison to Tebow, and that was right after, Urban comes in, and it's right after his first year there at Florida, and it's going into his second season, kind of what we're going into right now. And so Tebow was sitting there, and it was between Florida and Alabama, and we thought we had lost him to Alabama, kind of what we thought we had lost Malik. And then when he said, hey, I'm coming on, Coach, I'm getting on board, and then that spark, it just shot all through the other recruits that we were sitting there trying to get. And then you think about when it was, it's December now, and we had just, going to go play a bowl game that we didn't play very well in. And now all of a sudden, he was that guy and that marquee player. And it was about, okay, we can go get Malik to say yes. Then, guys, we got to turn it up. And we got to go get the rest of these recruits because they're sitting there. They're just waiting for us to come. And we have to sell. And I said, doesn't matter what it takes. Right now, you can't be tired. So it's your own fumes, your own fumes. We got to go to work.
And this class is really a product of that work, especially when you look at the linebacker spot. And we've talked before, there's a need not only for starters, but overall depth when it comes to the different linebacker positions. With this group, how do you see them filling some of those voids and helping with that depth?
Well, you have Malik, and he's already here, and they're just an athlete and can play inside for you, can play outside. And he's one of those backers that can run downhill, hit the football. And then if you need him in coverage, he can go cover. And then Cecil Cherry's a bigger backer, and he's one of those guys. We lost Steve Edmond, but he can be that anchor in the middle.
Cecil the Diesel.
Cecil the Diesel.
Love it.
And he loves it, man. And he loves you telling him, man. I tell you, it's so funny. Anytime he works out, he sends me his workout video. And I'm saying, seriously?
Wow.
I'm saying, hey, Cecil, seriously? So what are you doing? Just run up. He's like, hey, Coach, look at this hill I'm running. But like he's really doing something.
He's made for Longhorn Network, Coach.
He's made for, you're going to love him. You will love him. But you just watch Cecil, and then you get Hager. And the thing I like about Hager is that, I watched his brother play at Baylor, and then his dad was a great player, probably the all-time leading tackler here.
Yes, sir.
And now all of a sudden there's bloodlines there. So you talk about bloodlines with Johnson, now there's bloodlines there with Hager. So now to get him into the program, it's tall right now. You can just see him filling out. I can remember on the home visit just there and just looking at him, and I said, wow, he is going to be big. And he just looks at at you like how he's just foaming, like, okay, coach, what do I need to do? Like, I'm ready to go. But it's just fun just being around that family and just to see how it is. And then Anthony Wheeler, there was a pickup, right? You get Malik, and then all of a sudden you get a little momentum, and then we get Wheeler. And it was between us and I think Oklahoma, but just to get him. And there's another big backer, but a backer can play inside and outside. And then Townsend, we had a chance to. And really, what I like about him, he's so athletic. So he's one of those guys that, and I'm not going to say he's like Jordan Hicks, but he's one of those guys that has the speed, and the guy can run a back down, but he has that speed enough where you keep him protected and let him run and go hit the ball.
Now, when it goes to the secondary, did Vance find his thumper? Did he find that guy out there? I know he's been begging for that guy, the headhunter, if you will.
Well, if he does, and you look at the DBs, and it's an unbelievable group, and then just to see those two corners last week to make their announcement with Boyd and Hill, and that was really big because now you have two unbelievable corners that are really good cover corners. Tall, what you're looking for, has height. They're in that range of 6 foot, 6'1". So anytime you have a matchup outside, you're not worried about the jump balls because now if they body them up the right way, they can go up because they can use their height to go play. And then, I say this, and I look at that secondary, and my sleeper is Elliott now. I'm just telling you right now.
Ricky said that's his number one guy.
Stop. I mean, Ricky must have heard me tell somebody that.
I don't know. No, he said he's not even sleeping on it. He says this is your can't miss top dog in the class, Deshaun Elliott.
He heard me tell somebody. That's the only one. But I just like who he is, and he make hits, is a big hitter. And then Devontae Davis, there's another one that has good height, and coming out of Florida, and they get great cover skills. And then the one that we're sitting there and you lose Jamil, and so we have a player here in the state, and he's already committed. And so Coach Bedford knew his family. And that's how we were able to get back in on P.J. Locke. And actually, Coach Bedford, during the recruiting process, he went to visit the school. And I told him, he sat down with me and said, listen, I don't know what's going to happen through this process. But if something happens, then, we'd love to come and talk to you. And so when it happened, when we lost the young man, we go to PJ, we just put the hardcore, just pressing, just hardcore, just pressing, phone, hey, come on, PJ, come on, what are we waiting on? And, we made him think about it. And then he ended up calling his coach. I seriously have been thinking about it. And I said, well, don't think about it now. Let's get it done.
Let's ride.
That's right. That's all I said. Let's ride.
Hey, finally, Coach, what do you think about this group of defensive linemen you have coming in?
Well, I look at Minihue, and I look at Vassar, and Vassar's a junior college young man, and then Lampkin is so big right now. I think he's at 340. But you have three big guys right there, guys that can come in and can help us wherever we need them.
Well, some people have been saying, where's the kicker? Where's the punter? I heard Cecil Cherry can punt a little bit. I'm just saying, if he's sending you workout videos, he's Mr. Longhorn Network, why not put him at punter as well?
Let's leave Cecil right where he is. We don't need to see if he has those type of skills.
True.
You know why? I don't want somebody to run into him. I just don't want.
There would be no. He would welcome the roughing the punter because he would end up roughing the guy that tried to get to him.
And that's why I don't want that to happen.
I love it. Great recruiting class. A lot of personality and guys that, from what we've seen, they're going to come in. They're going to do their work, and that's the Charlie Strong way. Isn't it now?
It is the way.